Hello, I'm Chris Parker, and welcome back to another album review. Since we are now in the month of October, I'm going to be reviewing U2's second studio album, 1981's October. Whereas U2's debut Boy focused primarily on reflections of youth and growing up, October largely focuses on more overtly religious themes of God, death, and the afterlife. This is certainly an ambitious idea for the band's second album, but the real question is, does it work? Can the band recapture the awkward but heartfelt thoughtfulness of their first album without falling into a sophomore slump? To answer this question, I will begin by breaking this album down, song by song, before giving my thoughts on the album as a whole. I would like to encourage everyone to bear with my ramblings and watch the whole video, as I have a lot to say. Gloria is a good track to kick off the album. The song's lyrics are admittedly a bit messy in my opinion. Most of the song is the chorus, and that is borrowed from a Latin hymn. What new verses we do have in English are pretty standard religious cliches. Bono's vocal, however, helps to save it. Unlike last album, where Bono came across as silly when he tried to sing in Gaelic, here he does manage to nail the Latin lyrics. His voice sounds deeper and more mature than on last album, and overall he delivers the chorus with great verve. I especially like the last repetition of the chorus with the added backing vocals. This gives the ending a nice bit of oomph to it. The song is at a good tempo and once again sees solid instrumentation from the band. The Edge continues to strike a good balance between atmospheric guitar playing and being able to pull off heroics when needed, and Adam Clayton's bass guitar and Larry Mullen Jr.'s drumming sound good as always. So in the end, Gloria is a hollow lyric wrapped up in a good delivery. It works to kick the album off with a lot of energy and does set the scene well for what follows. I Fall Down starts off with a piano that leads the song in. After a while, the piano is subordinated to U2's usual blend of guitar/bass/drums, and the piano slowly drops out of the composition, although it occasionally pops back up here or there. There are also some weird echo effects on the chorus, which I feel were unnecessary. I'd say the best moment in this song is during the chorus, where the Edge's guitar playing and Larry Mullen Jr.'s drums both come crashing down to add a real weight to Bono's delivery of the lyrics. This song is about a girl who wrote a letter that says when she gets up she falls down, and then the singer tells her to wake up and tell him things. While the lyrics here are open to interpretation, my personal reading of this song is that the singer is singing to a girl who has passed away. I also think the part about the letter indicates that maybe the woman took her own life. But once again, I don't really know the meaning of the song, so don't take it from me. Let me know if you have your own reading of I Fall Down below in the comments section. I Threw a Brick Through a Window starts out with a very good rhythmic drum beat. The song has a very militaristic feel throughout, with a thumping drum beat and bass line. This song also features unusually fierce playing from the Edge. I have a couple of theories about the lyrics to this song. My first interpretation is that the song is a general cry for people to band together as brothers in protest and find a direction they can all go together. This very matches up well with the song's title, which never actually appears in the lyrics. My second interpretation is that the song is from the point of view of a marginalized individual who wishes to escape their situation but has no power to do so themselves. Said individual is left only to beg those outside of their situation to be their brother and help change things for them. This interpretation doesn't really fit with the song's title, but I do feel it is at least an interesting perspective on the song. I Threw a Brick Through a Window is perhaps the most interesting track on October, both lyrically and musically. Rejoice is another one of those songs that doesn't have a clear meaning, but my personal interpretation is the song is one that is trying to illustrate the dichotomy between discontentment and self-awareness. The narrator sings of a child who wishes to change the world and knocks down buildings and can only destroy in his ambition. The singer then says that instead of being discontent with the world, he will instead rejoice in the way things are and gives up any ambition of changing the world. This is an interesting topic, and Bono and the West deliver a good performance, but ultimately, this song isn't really all that catchy. There isn't really any real hook to it, and the chorus isn't very memorable. I do feel that despite this, it works well on the album, due in large part to the thoughtfulness of its lyrics. Fire is a song about fire, I guess. There is some sort of metaphor going on here, but I can't really begin to grasp what they're on about here. I tried to look into what other people had to say about the song, but there doesn't seem to be any real consensus on the meaning. I assume it has something to do with eternal damnation, considering the rest of the album has a theme of death and religion. Whatever this song is trying to say, though, the band certainly felt it was important. The song has a good riff to it, and is delivered decently enough. Still, in the end, this song is, at least to me, unable to convey any meaning, either lyrically or musically, which leaves it feeling rather pointless. Now, before we go on to side 2 of the album, I want to remind you that if you like this video, to please like this video by hitting the thumbs up button below. Hit the subscribe button and consider watching some of my other videos after this one, as all of these things help me out a lot. Tomorrow is another song that struggles to communicate its message through both unclear and unmemorable lyrics. This is mitigated, however, by better delivery than on the last track. The opening of this song is very ominous, yet very peaceful in a way, with the song being played on bass and bagpipes. Towards the end of the song, the drums and guitar kick in, making the song hold on, giving a good sense of progression. Bono's vocal here is one of his best on the album, with the earnestness in his voice carrying the song's minimalist opening. So while this song does struggle to convey anything lyrically, it does succeed in doing so musically. This song isn't the most memorable, and it is a bit of a mixed bag, but it does work quite well on the album. October is a song that is very unusual for U2. It is played almost entirely on the piano by The Edge. Clayton's bass does start to drip in a bit towards the end, but there is no percussion or guitar heroics to be found on this song. The song's lyrics are similarly minimalist. The only verse uses a seasonal metaphor as a statement on the passage of time and the transience of all things. At the end, there's an allusion to God being eternal. This song has a mellow, introspective atmosphere to it, not unlike the later half of U2's previous album, and it works quite well here. With a Shout starts out with some great percussion work before breaking into The Edge's trademark guitar sound. There's also a break in the song that features more great drum work and some horns. While I complained about several of the previous songs' meanings being too unclear to the point of becoming almost meaningless, this song suffers the opposite problem. The song is about making a religious pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and is very blunt about it. So blunt, in fact, that later releases of this album add Jerusalem as a subtitle to the song. Can it get any more obvious than this? Stranger in a Strange Land has a great guitar sound that revs the song up and then lets it go into a slower and more atmospheric-filling track. This song seems to be about people trying to go on with their daily lives while living under military occupation. The people get used to it in some fashion, but still have an underlying feeling of unease and wish for more natural circumstances. Scarlet is a short reprise of a chorus from Rejoice from earlier. This pairs well with The Stranger in a Strange Land, as both it and Rejoice had themes of trying to find the light in dark times while politicians play with everyone's lives and screw everything up. Is That All is a question I have asked after several songs earlier on this album. Is That All serves as an appropriate bookend of sorts, as it is a song that asks for messages in music. U2 has struggled on this album with their message being either too blunt or too obscure, but at the very end they decide that October's message is that music should have a message. Lyrical analyst Rejoice. Of course, with this final message, U2 delivers a solid backing. The sound here is very combative and restless, constantly asking for more with an almost militaristic approach. So, for my final review scores for the songs, I give Gloria, 7 out of 10. I Fall Down, 7 out of 10. I Threw a Brick Through a Window, 7 out of 10. Rejoice, 6 out of 10. Fire, 6 out of 10. Tomorrow, 6 out of 10. October, 7 out of 10. With a Shout, 6 out of 10. Stranger in a Strange Land, 6 out of 10. Scarlet, 6 out of 10. Is That All, 6 out of 10. So in the end, October comes out as a bit of a mixed bag, especially compared to the previous album. While Boy had plenty of awkward metaphors, it dealt with a relatively tangible topic. Youth, a topic which the band understood. October tries to deal with the great mysteries of life. When it works alright, but a lot of times it comes across as awkward and unmemorable at best. I guess this semi-concept album approach was an attempt to make lightning strike twice, and while they did switch it up suitably, I feel like U2 fell into a complacency here that was detrimental to October. Bono still sounds pretty young here, although it does feel like his voice has matured quite a bit since last album. Possibly because he's better at staying in his range here and isn't straining as much to hit too high of notes. This album also sees the band begin to play around with their instrumentation a bit more. The Edge starts playing piano, something that makes many of the compositions here sound quite different than those on the previous album. That said, I do feel like his guitar playing has taken a bit of a dip in quality here as a result. Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen Jr. have both increased their skill with their instruments, making them the members of U2 who have shown the greatest improvement since last album. Despite this, the playing does feel a lot weaker than on the previous album. There's a bit more polish, but it feels like a lot of the previous album's energy is lacking here. While there are plenty of backings here that are good, there's nothing too interesting either. In the end, October ends up being a good album, but a far cry from the greatness of U2's debut. The backings are weaker, the lyrics are weaker, everything here is well above passable, but nothing exemplary. In the end, I'm giving U2's October a 6 out of 10. And now, before we end, I do of course want to look at the sleeve. So, on front, you've got this picture of the band, and this big white border with the track listing here on the front, which is kind of unusual. And on the back, you can see it really was just kind of a wraparound photo of the band that kind of comes back here. That kind of shows them at the harbor. I don't know why that is, since I don't think this album was originally in a gatefold sleeve. But, you know, it is what it is. I also believe the album originally had a printed liner that had lyrics on it. It's just like a lyric sheet, but I don't have that. I just have this in a plain liner, so... not the best photo of the band. Clayton's hair, in particular, is not great. Very 80s, very, very questionable hair there. Otherwise, the band looks pretty good, though. It's only much better than the US album cover from the previous album, so yeah, that's something at least. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, I would like to thank you all for watching, as I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you in my next video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.